What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another one of Tyler's Tech Tutorials. Today we're going to jump right into it and set up our Office 365 tenant, and we're going to assign the E5 licensing to our users. We will make sure certain users will have access to various software applications that will be provided through the Office 365 licensing and management console. But first, before we do any of this, we have to connect our on-premises domain controller to this Office 365 tenant that I just set up. So this is a testing environment. This is a lab environment. This is not live. This is only for testing and demonstration purposes. Microsoft is kind enough to give us the option to do this instead of actually paying for it. And then after so many days, I will be required to subscribe, and then I will need to pay for it. So what does this give us access to? It gives us access to the Office 2016 application suite that includes Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Publisher, Access, Outlook, and Teams. We will also have a number of web apps available through the browser on this in this tenant. My user, when I assign the licensing, they will have access to the software in the browser. But before we do that, we have to integrate both systems. So we have to take our domain controller that's physically located in a data center. That's why they call it on-premise, because it's not in the cloud yet, and it won't be in the cloud. It will communicate with the tenant. This is where we manage the licensing components and set up Exchange Server Online, Microsoft Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive. We as administrators can manage the applications that the corporation uses through the web-based management console. That is the luxury of using software as a service, cloud-based platforms. So we already set up the tenant. That was quick and simple. To do that, you just need some basic user information, and you plug that in, and you can set that up. Now, technically speaking, you don't need a domain controller to do this. You don't. But it's recommended that you do, depending on what kind of business you're running. So if your business has anywhere from 50 or more computers, this might suffice. I mean, if you're remote, if your operations are remotely based, then if you have users that work from home, this might be a good option. But still, regardless of the size of the business, it's a good practice to have a domain controller on site. And then if you need to connect other sites remotely, you can apply, you can route those sites to the domain controller, depending on what kind of firewall services that you're using. You can connect the sites using a VPN, point-to-point protocol, with a star topology. You can, there's a number of ways you can go about doing this, but we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. We want to just get to the basics of connecting our domain controller to the tenant. So here we have Contoso Computing. This is what it looks like, but right now it's not integrated. You see how if I go to users, I only see one because this is our global admin tenant. I'm sorry, this is our global administrator for the tenant. All right, has not signed in yet, has not really done anything. What we need to do is go back to overview, and we need to find Azure AD Connect. And we want to download Azure AD Connect. We're going to save it. And what I'm actually going to do is copy this to the network attached storage I have so it can be available over the network. So let's see what our domain controller looks like. All right. I should not have done that just yet. So let's go to Control-Alt-Delete. And here it is. So the first thing we want to do is we want to apply SSL encryption. Okay, so we have our certificate authority. So we're going to go to Tools and Certificate Authority. We then want to go to Certificate Templates. And we want Manage. And we want to go look for Web Server Template and click Duplicate Template. We want to select General, and we're going to name this SSL Certificates. Security, and we're going to add, we don't have to add anyone. We're going to go to Authenticated Users, and we're going to select Enroll. I'm going to click Apply. And click OK. And we're done with the templates console, so we're going to close that. And then we're going to go back to the Certificate Authority Management console. And we're going to right click and go to New Certificate Template to Issue. And we're going to look for the one we just created, SSL Certificates. I'm going to click OK. So now we're going to go through the management console itself. We're going to go to the Run utility and type MC. And we're going to add a console, snap in. And we want certificates. computer account, local computer, and click OK. Personal certificates. We're going to right click. Request new certificate. Oh, we don't want to do that. We want to request new certificate. Next. And next. Down here, you notice how it's asking for additional information, so we're going to click that. Click more information as required. And then this is where we have to set up records for DNS and our fully qualified domain name. So for subject name, we're going to select our common name, and the value will be adfs.ad.contoso.com. And the alternate name, we're going to select DNS. The value, we're going to do enterprise registration. Actually, first we want to enter our adfs.ad.contoso.com. I'm going to add that. Then we're going to enter enterprise registration ad.contoso.com. We're going to add that. We're going to click apply. And we're going to click OK. And now we can select SSL certificates and enroll. Boom. Click finish. And that part is done. So we can close out this. And we don't have to save it. Yeah, let's save it anyways. And let's save it to the desktop. So now we get to install ADFS. So let's look at the features first. Windows feature name, and it will be ADFS. So we're going to install Windows feature, and the name of that feature will be ADFS Federation. And we want to include management tools in that management console. And it will take a few minutes to install. So if we refresh, we'll now have the option to configure Federation services on this server. It is worth noting, before I get too much further into detail, that it's good to create a group managed service account because it's going to prompt us if we have one or not. So to do that, we're going to go to add KDS root key, and then the effective time We're going to get date, add hours, and then we're going to go to new AD service account. And it will be dc1.contoso.com, service principal name. Okay. So those are going to be, we already have those set up anyways. They're part of our certificates. So we will find the documentation of where I left off. So just to kind of show you where I'm working from here is, I know you can't really see it, and I don't have the software or the hardware yet for recording, so, but it's a work in progress. So we have our ADFS deployment guide. We're going to implement software as a service to our network, so our users can access that software from their computers, from their workstations, laptops, tablets, iPads, Surface Pros, you name it. And it's going to be, we'll have the option of using desktop applications, so your basic desktop app, like you'll have Outlook, Word, or they can also use the web apps, such as Outlook Webmail, Office Word, all those applications from the browser itself. So let's get to the point now and finally install ADFS. So we're going to go to Configure Federation Services on this server. And yes, we want to create the Federation server in this server farm because we don't have this Federation server farm yet. And the credentials are going to be fine. We'll leave them as is. And here's where we want to select our SSL certificates. And we want to select adfs.ad.contoso, and the name will be so this is where we just selected our, we just recently created this, so FS, there it is, and we're going to click OK. Next. Yes, we want to create a database, and I'm going to click View Script, and I want to save this. And I also want to save it to my desktop. just in case. I mean, I could run this script now to set it up. I'm not going to do that. I use PowerShell enough as it is. So our prerequisites check succeeded. If it didn't, it would tell us. So we're going to configure, and this is going to take a few minutes. Now, when I'm done with this, all I have to do is install the Azure AD component, and then we will be, and we'll run full synchronization export to our Office 365 tenant, and then we'll be set. We want to make sure that our users actually showed up first. So that's done. We're going to close it. And now we're going to just double click and run the installation. We want to agree, and we want to use express settings. So the name of our Azure AD Global Administrator, I don't know if I'll have the option to copy and paste, but we'll try it. Alright, perfect. And the password is going to be, no, I'm not going to tell you. And it's going to verify that those credentials are correct. So right now, it's actually, this utility is authenticating with the Azure AD tenant. Unable to validate. Okay, so this only poses a slight threat. I know I just set this up, so it's possible that let's try this again. Okay, so instead of typing it out and pasting it, I'm going to actually spell it out. And if this doesn't work, we'll go ahead and resort to plan B. I don't think it's going to. Alright, so in that case, we're going to go reset this password through here. Okay then. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to our domain controller. Okay, so we're going to close this out and we're going to restart that. Well, if it doesn't work, we made it pretty far. Okay, so let's use the customize. Let's customize the it's possible So let's uninstall it. Okay, so let's do a full reboot and tell you what, we're going to pick up later. Unfortunately, this is quite annoying because we were on a roll here, and yeah, so talk to you later.